best experiences that I've had to do with people, specifically women, who came in, and in the conversation, they were having difficulty conceiving. Yeah. And I had heard all of these, the stories, like maybe you would have heard, chiropractors can do this and that and this and that, and you just kind of like roll your eyes and you like stick to the neck pain and the back pain. So I heard, by getting the nervous system free of interference, that miracles like infertile women can all of a sudden conceive.
I'm Andy Petronic, the co-founder of the Whole Life Challenge, the inspirational game that helps thousands of people around the globe take action each day to improve their health, fitness, and well-being. Join me each week on the Andy Petronic podcast for interviews with guests that will help give you ideas, get inspired, and take action toward being the best and healthiest version of yourself you can be. Welcome. It's Andy Petronic, and this is episode 141 of the Andy Petronic podcast. My guest today is Dr. Jeremy Brook. Dr. Jeremy, or Dr. Brook, as you'll find out, I don't really know what to call him. He's my chiropractor, and I have been seeing him now for 6 months. And I've seen massive changes in my spine, my mobility, the way my body feels. It just feels so much better. To let you know a little bit more about him, he goes by the name of Spinechecker. He's an LA-based chiropractor, yogi, and movement specialist. He's the founder of a place called the Life Center&nbsp, which his clinic combines chiropractic with spinal corrective protocols, yoga, and other movement and art forms to make sure that the body, the mind, and the spirit are all aligned. It's really different. My first experience walking in, it's probably one of the reasons why I decided to continue, is my immediate response to what I found when I walked in the door was different than any other place I'd been before. Dr. Brook has also been teaching an anthropological, evolutionary, and energetic approach to anatomy for years. He also teaches chiropractic and adjusting seminars to other doctors of chiropractic and students of chiropractic. So that's a little bit about him. The conversation for me, the big thing that I got out of the conversation, and there are a lot of things I got out of it because he shares a really detailed daily routine that he goes through that's really valuable. Lots of links in the show notes on the website, which you can find at wholelifechallenge.com/podcasts. Podcast. But the big thing I got is, chiropractic is not just a place to get your back out of pain or more mobility in your back. There are so many things that are affected, so many of your body system, actually every single one of your body systems that are affected by the position of your bones in your spine. And I really believe that your nervous system functions better, your musculoskeletal system functions better when your bones are aligned. Even your reproductive system. We talk about some of the most impactful moments of his career, and several of them have been around the fertility or helping husband and wife get pregnant. Actually through chiropractic. So really, really cool stuff and things I really had no idea. So that's coming up in a minute. I am not going to talk for a long time this morning about anything in particular other than the fact that we're between whole life challenges, and I am super relaxed in my approach between challenges. I'm not holding myself accountable to really much of anything except my morning routine. And I am enjoying getting outdoors. I've been, it's going to sound crazy, but after having Ravi Chander on the podcast last week, Ronnie Teasdale, I've been trying some nude sunbathing. I say that on here knowing that I could get heckled, but I don't know what it does. I've got two friends now, two actually former podcast guests, Ravi and Eric Remensberger, who both soak the sun's rays up in all parts of their bodies, nude sunbathing, and swear by it. So I've been checking that out. And, I just encourage you guys, get outdoors. It's summertime. It is a great way, even if it's so hot during the day, get out first thing in the morning, right at daybreak. If you want to do some yoga at daybreak outside, man, what an amazing way to start the day. So I just encourage you guys to do that. Soak up the sun and get ready for going back on some accountability in the summer. First time we've ever offered a whole life challenge in the summertime is this year, July 7th. It starts. So, good to be back on accountability for 6 weeks this summer and then move into fall. So that's it. I'm going to get Dr. Brook in, get this thing going. Remember, if you want more info from this podcast, more of the show notes, you can find them at wholelifechallenge.com/podcast. And you're going to love this. You're going to love this conversation. I did. And sit back, relax, and enjoy. Dr. Jeremy Brook. It's Brook, right? Not Brooks.
Brook, no E, no S.
No E, no S. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this because I've been seeing you so often. You've become a staple in my life for the last 6 months.
Awesome.
And just for everybody else out there, Dr. I call him Jeremy. I don't know how I address you. Dr. Jeremy, Dr. Brook.
Dr. Brook, whatever.
So he's been my chiropractor now. I went in. This is a fun story, actually. My friend, former client Clark, says, "Hey Andy, I got this thing called a golden ticket, and I think you should. I want to give you a golden ticket." I'm like, "Well, what's a golden ticket for?" Intrigued, thinking of Willy Wonka, and he goes, "Well, it's this chiropractor I go to." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really go to chiropractors. I don't really need chiropractors." He goes, "Yeah, well, you might not, but it's a free assessment, and he'll X-ray your spine and tell you kind of what's what." And I'm like, "Well, what can I lose? I mean, I'll take a free assessment. I mean, he's not going to really tell me anything that I need because I don't need anything. I'm good, right?" And famous last words. I go in with my golden ticket thinking I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And you take a bunch of x-rays and then give me the good news and the bad news. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the good news. I don't know if there was any good news.
The good news is you're an incredible specimen.
Yeah, I'm in good shape. I'm in good physical shape. And I was willing to go in. Mm-hmm. That was the good news. 100%. The bad news was there was quite a lot of lack of mobility in my spine. And it's interesting now that I've gone through the process and am feeling some of the differences. There's a position that I used to always sit in, this 90-90 on the ground position that one of the exercises I do at your place. That literally, if I wasn't holding myself up off the ground, I would just tip over.
Right.
And now that I've seen the difference. I mean, the differences in the range of motion and the x-rays that we took, the post x-rays that we took were so dramatic. And I can actually feel the difference in these movements. I mean, I don't know if you saw me this morning. I was doing that. It's kind of an MMA fighter's circle where you swing, you're in that 90-90 position. Mm-hmm. And then you come up into full hip extension. Right. And then you sit back down the opposite way. And then you roll your feet, you roll your knees the opposite direction. And you do this big circle where you're shifting.
I walked right by you. You did it right in front of me. And I saw you coming up. And I kind of moved out of your way so we would collide.
Because I haven't seen anybody else do it. Everybody else is very linear.
You're the OG there.
I'm the... is that
the OG? Maybe... VIP. You got extra privileges in terms.
So
of,
usually you wouldn't allow somebody to do that.
I mean, it was within the scope.
Within the
movement.
scope. I figured it was within the 90/90, so I could.
It was all good.
And it wasn't too crowded. Some days it's pretty crowded.
It's
but that was one of the most impressive things when I first came in to your place, because I've had my spine worked on before, but I've never been to a place that has this culture of people who are committed to doing the movements associated with the chiropractic work in such a it was normal and rigorous, and it shifted my context from the moment that I walked in the door. Like
Perfect.
it was very. I remember thinking back on it like, this is different. This is not the normal, crack your back and be on your way place. And probably one of the reasons why I was inclined to hire you or bring you on as my guide, my advisor, and pay for my own. I had no context that why would I pay for chiropractic? I don't need any of this stuff. And man, it was one of the best investments I ever made.
Awesome. Great to hear. Yeah, we try to create a culture, a center that's radically different than other healing centers out there. Roman numeral number 1.
Yeah, right.
And then when you get into like what it is that we're trying to do, then it becomes very apparent that we don't think like most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about and I'm going to remind you to stay close to the mic.
Copy that.
Tell me about how you established this uniqueness in your practice. Like, where did it come from, and why'd you get into chiropractic, and why the combination of yoga and the way you've done it, and like, what was the sequence? I'm just very curious. Your path, and not literally, but just you can just talk.
It's going to go through a couple different twists and turns, no pun intended. I've wanted to be a chiropractor since I was 8. Yeah, kind of weird, right?
Why?
Like, why would a kid want to start?
Did you go with your parents to get them?
We went
get
with
their back?
the whole family to the chiropractor. The long story is my dad injured his neck when he was 20 years old. And actually, no, cancel that. He was like 25 years old, like right before I was born. Chicken fighting in a pool. I know it's kind of weird, but injures his neck.
Do people do that anymore?
I think it's banned in like 48 states.
I mean, they banned diving boards. You can't get a swimming pool built anymore with a diving board. I think I think actually slides too. You can't get like in your backyard. I haven't thought of chicken fighting in years.
Yeah,
we did that all the time.
Same. Yeah, same. I was always on the shoulder just because I'd be drowning otherwise.
Well, you and I are about the same height, so we were naturals for the top.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd be squaring off against each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go against you. You'd probably still be undefeated.
I don't know. No, back then I was a little scrawny little pipsqueak.
Maybe I'd have a chance. So Pop hurts his neck, goes to a chiropractor, instantly fell in love with it. We moved to California. I'm 8 years old. We find a chiropractor. My dad brings the whole family to the chiropractor. So it's myself, sister, little sister, mom, and dad, and didn't really have any problems. We just went for overall, well-being. It's like this neurospinal consciousness that my dad was tapped into early on. So since the age of 8, I've wanted to become a chiropractor.
I mean, and that was. I know this is gonna out you for your age, but that was what, 36 years ago, 35. I don't know how old.
Yeah, 44, turning 45 this year.
So I mean that was before anyone had any chiropractors were weird.
Yeah, I really wouldn't know weird or not just because I grew up with it, and it made sense to me, and it really wasn't bizarre. It's like if you felt that you were off, you got adjusted, and then you were back on. It's like,
yeah, I don't know. Weird's probably the wrong word. Like scary, a little bit. And not MDs, not doctors. They're quacks.
I never got a taste of any of that until I went to chiropractic school, and I was like, dang, like people hate us. And yeah, like they actually, there was actually it's called case Wilk versus AMA, where went all the way up to the Supreme Court. There's a conspiracy, or maybe not even a conspiracy. It was out in the open that the American Medical Association had a committee designed or formed to demolish, eradicate chiropractic, and through their propaganda in terms of saying chiropractic wasn't scientific, when at the time it was probably about as scientific as you could get. A lot of the early equipments that chiropractors used were designed to test the electrical signals being emitted from the body, whether it's the brain or the heart, or measuring temperature differences along the spine. And they were ahead of the game by far. And also with the opposition between the medical profession and chiropractic, the chiropractors were always having to prove that their techniques and their approaches and their analysis, were on point and could actually produce good health in human beings. So yeah, back in the day, chiropractic was more about, people were going to chiropractors for significant conditions, if you will. It wasn't like neck pain and sacroiliac pain or low back pain. I mean, people were struggling with some significant health issues, diseases, if you will, and chiropractic was, at the time, trying to restore normal physiology and eradicate those diseases. Then you get insurance coming into the forefront, like in the 1980s or so, and then chiropractic switched from it being more of a deep, hardcore, like the early chiropractors were hardcore. You go back to the early 1900s, those suckers went to jail. Those guys went to jail for chiropractic. So it became
because there was potential for injury, or
practicing medicine without a license.
Oh,
and that was like the big thing. They're trying to get chiropractors thrown in jail, just competing with. It was, I guess, a money thing, or maybe a big picture thing, where like, man, we don't want people to get too connected, because then
there's no more things to treat.
No more things to treat.
Right.
Then, of course, there are limitations, obviously, what chiropractic can do, and we can get into that later on. But the 80s come around, chiropractic became an incredible profession for people to, to join. Oh, wow. Like, I could make a great living being a chiropractor. They never had been adjusted. In fact, I had some classmates, they came to, first day of school, and, who here has never experienced an adjustment? And like,
are you
there's
serious?
A large number of people. I'm like, guys, you even know what you're getting yourselves into?
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, you can become a doctor of chiropractic. So there's this, I'm a doctor. And,
yeah, right.
I don't really get too caught up in that anymore. Yeah. In fact, I like shedding the labels. You're a medical doctor, you're an osteopath, you're a chiropractor, you're an acupuncturist, you're a structural integrative practitioner. At the end of the day, like, you're just trying to, you've got different tools, to help other human beings, but the goal would be to restore normal health, healing, vitality, balance, to become a well-being. So who cares what your name is and what your discipline is and what the baggage is with your profession? Does it work? Does it have minimal side effects?
Yep.
Then let's get it on.
Yeah, right.
So let's see. Getting back to the original question, we got the chiropractic first experience when I was 8. Wanted to be a chiropractor. Go to UC Irvine to get my pre-chiropractic school, the pre-med prerequisites. And it was while there I got injured playing rugby. And this is where things kind of took a little turn for me.
Were you always athletic growing up?
Always athletic, yeah. I always played sports growing up. I'm not going to say I went to UC Irvine to play baseball, but I actually thought, they were they were one of the worst teams at the Big West. I thought I have a great opportunity to play ball. I show up and these dudes were fantastic. I was like,
even though they were one of the worst teams.
One of the worst teams. And,
wow.
So definitely outclassed in that category. But I tried out for the team. I made the team, redshirted, caught bullpen for a couple weeks until that became too dangerous for me.
Totally.
I'm like, I'll stay in here, but I'm taking balls off my arm and legs and neck. And,
we have a pitcher in Dashiell's league now. They're 11,
right?
And
throwing gas probably.
This is a kid who's bigger than any other kid. In fact, a lot of times the parents of other teams ask, "We need to see his birth certificate because we don't really believe that he's 11." And he throws probably. His dad said 70 plus. Yeah. I think it's more like 65.
Yeah, there's
but I have
kid.
to go into the game because I'm one of the coach, and I'll go into the game sometimes when the catcher is still putting on the catching gear and warm him up to get ready. And it is not comfortable.
It's heat.
It's heat. I mean, I don't put my normal glove on. I put on a catcher's glove, and I squat instead of squatting, with my jewels, in jeopardy.
You're not wearing a cup.
I'm a coach.
Yeah,
I'm not a player.
You never know when.
I'm not wearing a cup.
You have to feel the ground.
And I squat sideways.
Right.
And I now if I miss, my ribs are exposed.
Yeah.
But hopefully that doesn't happen.
That's intense.
But it's not comfortable to warm up a 70-mile-an-hour pitcher.
Yeah, you're not afraid to ride a unicycle, but
that's right. But I'm in charge of that.
True.
Like, there's no telling if he throws a wild pitch and and I'm not looking.
Yeah.
I mean there's some serious repercussions.
I get it. I get it. And I felt it. And I missed the ball many times.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I switched from playing baseball to rugby. And then it was while playing rugby that I blow out my neck, blow out my shoulder, and that changed the game for me. Luckily, we had a physical therapist who sponsored our team, who took care of the Rams and a lot of Olympic athletes. Actually, was it the Rams? Yeah, it was the LA Rams before they took off to St. Louis.
Yep.
So I went there, checked, they checked me out. They said I had a, busted up shoulders, it's separated AC joint. I mean, it was a mess. I broke my nose in the same game and ended up doing a whole lot of PT with ultrasound and muscle stimulation. Really didn't do much for me, and I figured this was how it was going to be. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I also had communicated with an orthopedic surgeon who gave me Vicodin and said, hey, look, if it doesn't get better, then we'll do surgery. But the cool thing is I loved what they were doing at the physical therapist's office. It was like open style, sports related. And I was like, man, this is really cool. I'm going to become a physical therapist. So I switched my path from wanting to go to chiropractic school to physical therapy school. And thankfully, one morning, it was during like a spring break that I it was a spring break for me. Ended up taking some Vicodin at night and woke up early in the morning, like maybe 4 a.m. or so, with just like incredible abdominal pain. Like the abdominal pain felt like, you put a rat in a bucket and then you put that rat in a bucket right on top of your stomach, and then you light the bucket on fire and the rat has to crawl through your stomach. It kind of felt something like that.
How in the world did you come up with that analogy?
I think that was from Game of Thrones. Was that a Game of Thrones episode?
I don't know. It sounds
but it was it was absolutely brutal. It felt like something was eating me up, trying to eat me from the outside going in. So I crawl in my parents' bedroom. They usher me to the emergency room. They give me a cocktail. I throw up. It comes out the other end. And then while I was just kicking it in the emergency room, I was like, man, why didn't I go to the chiropractor? And by the way, a year has passed where I'm dealing with shoulder, neck stuff.
And it's still going on.
Oh, it's still going on, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling. And, I lost my ability to be physical. Mm-hmm. So it was while I was there. Oh yeah, the physical therapist that I was working for at the time, not the owner, but a lot of the other physical therapists, they were anti-chiropractic. So they just slammed chiropractic. I'm 21 years old, very impressionable, and I'm like, yeah, I guess chiropractic sucks. Kind of messed up. So
the antithesis of what you had experienced growing up.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. But I never really had significant, debilitating injuries. I've had situations where I can't turn my head, and you go to the chiropractor, boom, boom, and you're good to go. As that's how it goes with young kids from the age of 8 to 15. Normally, it just takes a couple adjustments versus when you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, or your 60s, and then now we're talking like a season to get you dialed in, or 2 seasons. So I call up the chiropractor, my first chiropractor, when I was 8 years old, went to his office, x-rays me, and at the time he didn't even adjust my shoulder. He adjusted my atlas, my top bone, and my first rib and my T1, and like I got up off the table, like able to move my arm. You just kind of like check it out, and I was like, unbelievable. So that night I come home, and we're having dinner with the whole family, and I say, I've got some great news. I'm not going to physical therapy school. My dad slams his hand on the kitchen table. I was like, what are you talking about? You're not going to chiropractic school. To physical therapy school. I said, I'm going to go to chiropractic school. So I veered off course, and life gave me a nasty rugby injury and a broken skull and nose and jacked up neck to put me on course. So during that period where I could not really do what I needed to do physically, I ended up exploring yoga, and it wasn't like power yoga.
Post
accident.
But after the chiropractic experience, or this was going on right in the same time.
Right around the same time.
Okay.
So I'm 20 years old, can't really lift weights. I love boxing at the time. I thought I had like a future in boxing. Mm-hmm. Tommy Hearn's boxing coach actually saw me box once, and he said, "Kid, stay in school." I was like, he said, "Let me come over here. Let me talk to you."
The killer of dreams.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, really? I thought I had some. I thought I was good."
He did you a favor, though.
He did seriously. Me a great, saved me probably even more facial rearranging.
Right.
So during that time, discovered like yoga, but it was like slow yoga. Like there's a guy
restorative type.
Not so much restorative. It was more like traditional hatha, just breath movement, nice and easy, kind of like the movements that we have people doing in the office, where it's like low intensity, you're scanning your body, but it was classical asanas, and I fell in love with it. Just bam. So this is like 1994, 95, something like that. That I just fell in love with yoga to the point where, and it was kind of weird, where my friends would be like, "Hey, let's go watch the Laker game," and I'm like, "I got a yoga class to go to." They're like, "Yoga?"
And this is before
yoga kind of popped.
I was an early adopter with Brian Kest at Power Yoga in Santa Monica,
right?
And he was really, them and Yoga Works were the only two places in town. That was it. They were the only places to go, and it just so turns out that his daughter is in my son's class in school.
No way.
So I see him. Now he doesn't know me.
I take his class still Sunday morning, 8 a.m. whenever he's in town.
Julia and I used to go to that class on Sunday mornings back in like 2000 when we first met. That would be a kind of a Sunday morning date.
Great.
That we would go meet at.
Great teacher.
Yeah, amazing.
And I don't know what his style was back then, because I've gone through like a full renaissance or a metamorphosis of starting out chill and then learning about power yoga and then hot yoga and then Ashtanga yoga, and then after a while just getting, it's kind of like just things just stopped feeling good, that I started going down the mountain to more of like the easier, maybe not so much easier, but the classes that allowed you to scan the pose. Right, and keep up with the breath versus it just being more of a vigorous, physical, powerful workout. So from there, I start chiropractic school. I'm doing yoga. I'm deep into the starting to learn about the philosophy of yoga. And when you match that up with the philosophy of chiropractic, like people don't even know there's a philosophy of chiropractic. Again, most people, if they were to stereotype a chiropractor, think it's all about bad necks and bad low backs, maybe headaches, sciatica. I mean, that was really my default. I mean, I have a couple. You and
friends,
80% of the population.
I mean, I've got a couple friends who have gone through chiropractic college, and they treat a lot of athletes, but they don't treat them necessarily with with back cracking. They do a lot of physical therapy type stuff. They'll do a lot of electric stim and a lot of non-adjustment, adjustment-based stuff.
Yeah.
But I still hadn't rid myself of that concept until having come to see you. And it's shifting. I think it's still shifting.
Yeah. Look, the chiropractic philosophy it originated back in the late 1800s, 1895. And it really was based on the fact that there's an intelligent organization within the universe. I mean, it starts off with the universe, number one. And that same intelligence, there's like 33 different kind of philosophical core principles. But if you skip through some of these principles and get to the highlights, there's universal intelligence in all of life. If you look at the solar systems has this incredible design. There's an intelligent design within planet Earth, so intelligent that if you plant a seed inside planet Earth, it actually grows life, and the human being has that same intelligence. You plant a seed inside a woman, and then she grows life, and that intelligence is activated by a life force. Or, that's where then people kind of get a little bit weird. Okay, so electricity, but then the electricity flows through nerves or wires, and then depending on how important the nerve or the wire is, or let's just say the brain, you got the brain and the spinal cord. Those guys are fully encased and wrapped in an armor of bone. Granted, the bones around the spinal cord are jointed, so now we could deal with a situation where energy is flowing through your nervous system out to every single cell in the body, and there can be a major source of interference or irritation to this nerve system because a bone has lost its normal motion, either too much or too little. It's out of, and I like to use the term out of space versus out of place. It's out of space. It's just like an proprioceptive deficient state. So it's a bone out of state, a bone out of state. Yeah. And so that's kind of like an adjustment is designed to introduce a force back into the spine, which then gets transmitted into the nervous system to remove that interference to the nervous system so that body can express itself maximally and interact with the environment properly. So I'm cool with that. I heard that. I was like, I'm cool with that. Yogic philosophy is dialed in with that. And even if you go into acupuncture or Tai Chi Qigong, they're all dealing with the same thing. So this chiropractic has its, even though it had its origin in Iowa, United States, Davenport, Iowa, it has a very Eastern approach. And for me, that's always been more attractive to me than the allopathic let's treat pain model, which is not working. It's a broken system. The United States ranks number 37 or 34 in the world with regards to industrialized nations,
but number one in how much we spend.
Yeah, and and how many drugs we take.
Yeah, right.
And how much drugs we take. So the way I look at it, if we're like a professional team, let's say the Dodgers are, we're playing in the league of life expectancy, and we're finishing 37 out of 37. The managers are being fired, the coaches are being fired, the general managers are being fired. Maybe the fans are just going to completely revolt against even the ownership and try to get the owners to sell the team to somebody who's going to bring in a new system. And I'm down with the new system.
Yeah, right.
And you're involved in the CrossFit. Again, one of the pioneers in the CrossFit universe. 10, 15 years ago, where was CrossFit? Maybe not 10 years, but maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, 2000. Well, I started in 2004. It's amazing. Right. It's that long ago. It's
okay,
like
so out of nowhere, CrossFit comes onto the scene with an incredible. When you read like what CrossFit is all about, it's incredible. With the energy systems and the intensity and the forcing adaptation on the system. It sounds like you read that and you're like, oh, did I just take the manual out of the chiropractic exercise class, if you will, on how to optimize the nervous system. So, geez, that was a long bird walk. But so is the yoga plus the chiropractic. My background in yoga plus the chiropractic.
Now, did you
was
become
designed.
yoga certified?
Yeah, I've taken many yoga certifications, primarily with teachers that moved me and inspired me. And like Brian Kest's original teacher was my teacher.
Who was that?
His name was Chuck Miller. Chuck Miller and Mati Azrati.
Mati, yeah. I took Ashtanga from Mati.
There you go.
Back in the early days.
There you go. So Brian Kest's original teacher before they had it out in the parking lot.
I didn't hear about that, but I did know that there was a falling out.
There was almost a knockout, apparently.
It's very non-yoga-like.
Ahimsa, I think, is like non-violence is Roman numeral number 1 of the yamas.
Huh.
Yeah. So I wanted to create a system that did a lot of things. Number one, in my opinion, one of the most missed areas in people's health profile. You know, everyone's like cool with like looking at their blood pressure or their pulse or getting their cholesterol read or their sugar. You have to look at your neurospinal relationship. You know, you cannot have bones out of space putting pressure on the nervous system if you want to have vibrant health, period. Okay, so that was like the number one. Let's clear out the interference from the nervous system.
Neurospinal, what'd you call it?
Oh, yeah, so I just combined it. Yeah, so I combined the nervous system with the spinal system, and I just made it the neurospinal system.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I was hearing it correctly.
You did.
And so, how does somebody test that?
Test what?
Their neurospinal...
Well, you come to me and we do stuff like that.
Like what you did when I first came in.
There's many ways to test the integrity of the neurospinal system. Checking for proper motion and proper alignment. There's the hands-on assessment, which is a skill, and some of it's innate. Like some people can just put their hands on people and boom, it comes to them. And then other people, they have to develop that skill. And people go, wow, you're like a wizard, or it's incredible what you do. And I'm like, I've wanted to do this for a while. Uh-huh. I've been training in this approach for a long time. I train to increase my sensitivity. But if we were talking about Tom Morello earlier, you give Tom Morello a guitar and just watch him rip off on the guitar. You're like, oh my God, you are incredible. Wizard. And he's like, you know how many hours I've put in playing different guitars and
probably
stuff like
more
that.
Than 10,000.
Minimum. Yeah, and they say like 10,000 to 50,000 just gets you out of the advanced beginner realm.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
let's take a quick break.
Sure.
And I know what I'm going to ask you, so I'm going to take a little bookmark and put it in my head and go, okay, little break.
Go for it.
When Amber and Melissa first started The Good Kitchen, they had a simple concept in mind: to make nutritious, healthy, and great-tasting meals easily accessible to everyone. It's a rather simple concept born out of their own life experiences, having seen firsthand the importance of eating well in order to live better, for themselves and for their families. That's been my experience of The Good Kitchen. When I get my meals delivered for lunch, I get 4 or 5 every week. They show up at my front door. Those days that I eat those meals there's just no pressure. I don't have to think about anything, and I get great tasting, high quality, sustainably sourced, organic meals, Whole Life Challenge compliant, keto compliant, paleo compliant, vegetarian if I want. It's just phenomenal, and it's maybe slightly more expensive than what I would spend otherwise. I think my meals are end up being somewhere around $14. So do yourself a favor, give it a shot. You can go to thegoodkitchen.com/WLC to get a 15% off your first order. Check it out. I do highly recommend it. Okay, so tell me about touch, because it seems very hocus pocusy to me. Mm-hmm. You know, like, what do you mean you've trained for touch? And and some people can do it and some people can't. And just tell me more about that. You're
about to have half of your subscribers unsubscribe.
All right, so let's rewind that question. I'm kidding.
Yeah, touch. When I've never really been asked this question, so I'm just gonna
go
go with what came to my mind first. When a baby is born, it's pretty much recommended skin-on-skin contact, right? And they put that baby right on mom, and the baby's feeling mom's heart, and just can't even see anything. It's going all on autopilot, and then until that baby just kind of like moves its way up to the breast and just starts like latches on and just starts its first meal. Mm-hmm. So like straight away we have this incredible sensual experience. And if we even just rewound the tape, and let's say and there's many different ways to be born into this planet. Mm-hmm. Let's go the old school way, like a vaginal birth, where, I mean, that's one hell of a sensory experience coming out that birth canal. Like, never in your life are you going to have to deal with those type of forces being placed upon your body. I hope not. Or maybe you will if you go down to maybe Peru and experience some Peruvian medicine, and you get to relive your birth that way. But for the most part, it's a very physical introduction to this world. In some cases, you have a vacuum extractor or a forceps. In some cases, people have had a traumatic first touch experience. So that's I think at the heart of the work that we do in terms of how do we communicate and how do we connect to other beings. Our hands are incredibly sensitive. We have, of course, the five senses that everybody knows about, the sixth sense. Now people are talking about proprioception. But with regards to touch, the touch sense, it's a known sense. They know that there are different receptors in your hands that are that will respond to different things like temperature, different types of shapes, like something that's sharp or something that's rounded, pressure. So the hand is it comes with an incredible navigation package, and all you have to do is stick that hand on top of another person's body, and if it's in the spine, just you listen. So now it's like touch. Now we're listening to what the body is giving off.
Is it energy that you're feeling?
Okay, so energy is where people get a little bit like it gets too abstract and a little too new age. So I like to, when I talk about energy, I like to think about tone. And tone, everybody's cool with tone, especially, people who work out. You're like, oh, wow, you've got great definition, great muscular tone. Mm-hmm. And we know what healthy tone feels like. We know what toxic tone feels like, something that's swelling, mm-hmm. Something that's puffy, something that's maybe even hot, like edema. There's some pitting around the area. We can feel if it's in like the spasmodic, braced and locked up state. So that's what we're listening. We're reading. We're feeling for tone. Mm-hmm. And there's many different type of chiropractors. I'll just speak for myself. When I put my hand on somebody and as I just kind of like slide it up and down, I'm feeling for tone. I'm feeling for little pockets of tension, hypertonicity.
Okay, so I'm going to relate it back to me.
Cool.
Because if I think of what you said about tone and like muscularity and the way I think about what tone is,
right.
When I came to see you at first, I was tone. I mean, my tone in terms of the way I'm thinking about what you said.
No doubt.
My physicality hasn't really changed much. My mm-hmm. fitness hasn't gone up or down. I'm not more muscular now or less muscular now.
Sure.
I'm about the same as I
mm-hmm.
was before. And yet you might say that there's a difference between what you felt when I first came in and what did you feel today.
Correct.
So what's the difference?
The difference would be, again, going back to a nice relaxed bicep muscle mm-hmm. with the arm down by the side, and then you say flex it, boom, and then you can feel the difference between when your bicep muscle, when it's just resting down by its side, and when it's being flexed. A lot of people are running around with flexed, tight, contracted muscles for a laundry list of reasons. And when you came in, you were like a tight fist.
Without even knowing it.
Without, now.
I mean, because I think back and I definitely did not know it.
Right. Unless you're a yogi, or unless you were born into like this chiropractic lifestyle, most people weren't placing a heavy emphasis on what's going on with their, with their spine, or maybe if they were unconscious to the fact of having like even relaxed tone throughout their entire body. And that's why when you walk into our office and you see everybody moving, it's not just a movement conversation or a movement regimen that we're having people do. Yes, that's important, but really it was designed for people to scan their body as they move through different shapes and position, scanning for tension, and when it's appropriate to crank up or crank down the tension. So most people are running around, they have no idea that they're living in this clenched, tightened, stretched, imbalanced state, even when they think they're doing everything right. Because a lot of times, you're not scanning, you don't have your hands on your body where you can be unbiased to see the difference between, let's say, this side versus that side, or this muscle versus that muscle. And some people have a heightened awareness where they can sense it, and they can sense it, boom, instantaneously. And that's really one of my secret and selfish goals is that by the time we've moved somebody through a certain program of care or a season or two or however long it takes, that they've developed the ability to be quiet, to listen, to scan their body, to feel for tension, and know when it's like, today's a good day that I should probably go for the 400-pound deadlift, or you know what, today I'm going to walk on the beach backwards.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's really that is a very powerful and important part of the process, I think, of going from hurt, sick, injured, to a place of I am responsible. I can't, like, I feel like very often we put so much of our trust in doctors that we forget that the first line of defense is us.
Bingo.
Like when you learn...
Is your nervous system too, by the way, to be able to sense when things are dangerous or they're safe, and people actually cannot tell when it's a safe situation or a dangerous situation, and as a result, tension develops. If your body can't deal with that tension, now it starts hardening and starts encapsulating, and then that's where things lock up. Now you're dealing with the subluxation, the bone out of state, creating the bracing, the blocking, the splinting, the guarding. And now what? And now you're completely shut off because now you're in the state of brace protection.
Yeah, no, I think that is such a critical piece. Like, I look at it as, and I look at the work that I did with you as practice, like as practice in becoming more conscious and opening up my awareness of what I can see myself.
Amen. Mission accomplished on my part. My goal, if I tell somebody straight away when they come to me, my goal is that you develop a disciplined daily practice in which you skillfully explore the sacred geometry of your body, where you can sense tension. For the hills. They're like, dude, I want you to fix my back.
Yeah, right.
I got a raging L5.
I can't move. I can't walk.
Yeah. So we go, we're going to teach you some stuff.
Well, it's interesting now that we're talking about it. It's a little bit like my philosophy used to be with clients that would come into the gym. They would come into the gym wanting a very specific thing. I want a six-pack, or I want lose weight, or I want to be able to do a pistol, or whatever. And I would always have to strike a balance between teaching
sacrificing your principles,
teaching people what they want to know and where they want to go, and then teaching them what I know they need to know for their own good without them knowing it. And it's a dance.
It's an art. That's the art of a good coach. Because you can't just do what you know they need, because then they just get pissed. They think it's your agenda, right, and I don't really need this, and Agreed. Screw you for not taking care of what I came in here to take care of. Right.
And yet I always felt like it was my responsibility to make sure the other part didn't get disregarded, because that part is really why they're paying me without them even knowing it.
True. Yeah. Well, you better help them get that 6-pack and lose weight, and at the same time, then they start learning about their body and how to adapt to the forces and develop some new skills along the way, and everybody wins.
And learn to be responsible. Be responsible. Like, okay, this is not it is nobody's fault that this happened. It's look if you're 100% responsible for your life, let's just pretend you are.
Right.
How were you responsible for this injury that was bestowed upon you by a baseball or by a lineman or by getting in and out of your car?
Well, you said something cool. You approached it like this was your practice, like it was a practice for, learning how your body moves. It was a discipline. You knocked it out of the park with your intensity, with your attitude, and that was the approach that I wanted to create. I've kind of played into the stereotypical concept of a chiropractor. I got a big giant chiropractic sign on my above my storefront, and but then you drop down and then you see this kind of crazy logo, which is our logo, and you're like, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to do it the way that I really wanted to do it, it wouldn't say chiropractic. It would say Human Performance Enhancement Center.
Right. But nobody knows what that is.
Yeah, or Movement and Alignment School.
And then they start to wonder, is he trying to hide the fact that he's a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Is he not? Is he like, it's interesting
and I'm
when
proud
you're direct.
As heck to be one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I used to always kind of cringe at the word personal trainer, because I felt like I was so much more than a personal trainer. But now looking back, like, embracing that is really, because it's what people understand. And I think embracing that is a really beautiful thing.
Sure.
Sure. And you're so much more than just that. Not that there's anything wrong with being just that.
Right.
But there's so much more to you.
That's why I want to strip away the labels. The chiropractic got me to this place, but as like a initial tier entry level goal, my goal is to help people become well-beings. And then the bigger goal, the one that gets me excited, is to help you become the strongest, most aligned, connected, energized person that you could possibly be through chiropractic and yoga and other spinal corrective modalities. Now, if I wanted to take this vision and make it even more, now I've got a CrossFit style gym in there. I have a yoga classes going on. I've got acupuncture going on. I'd have the whole office would be infrared. We'd have oxygen, hyperbaric chambers.
You're a combination of Dave Asprey's and CrossFit gym and chiropractic center and yoga.
So he's doing it. CrossFit's doing it. So now I've specialized in the adjusting of the spine as a dying art.
Yep.
And people are scared shitless about getting adjusted. Like, whenever I adjust somebody for the first time, I say, "Are you scared? Are you a little nervous? Do you have any anxiety going into it?" Because it's interesting. It's scary.
I do. It has changed quite a lot since my first visit.
Same with today was golden, by the way. Today, if you went from the time you came in where it was a clenched fist, yeah, you weren't giving it up easy. You were making me.
Yeah, when you do the adjustment in the middle of my thoracic, I have to consciously think to myself, okay, exhale, and then it's going to be okay. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. Because I don't know what that is.
Normal physiological. The mid back from the first thoracic, which would be right at the lower part of your neck for people who don't know the anatomy. From T1, lower part of your neck, where your trap meets the shoulders meet the neck, if you will, all the way down to the second bone in your lumbar spine. So
L2.
kind of like just below the kidneys by about a fist. That's the sympathetic zone, the fight or flight zone. That's the zone that normally needs to be kind of like stroked, like a screaming baby. You're like, shh, and you just start stroking the mid-back. So if you know somebody's about to punch you in that mid-back, like a normal innate response would be to...
F you.
Go into like a ball and prepare for impact.
Right.
So I think that's normal. And that's where the style of adjusting that I do, that I was taught by this French, incredible French visionary chiropractor, Dr. Arnaud Bernier, where he had these seminars called Making Love to the Spine. Now, again, talking about a weird seminar name, you're like, what the hell's going on? It sounds, it's, depending on which way it goes, it could be kinky or it could be cool.
Are you going
whatever.
to Hawaii and running around naked with your...
No, not at this seminar.
Leave that to yoga.
Yeah, leave that one to yoga. Yeah. No nude adjusting. No, this one, believe it or not, was based on his background in kung fu and martial arts, where the strike would mold to the specific anatomy that the martial artist was striking. So he took this concept of molding your anatomy to the other person's anatomy while bringing into this element of not a sexual making love to the person, but like a love, a sensuality approach to where the adjustment was honorable, it was respectful, it was gentle, it was precise, it was specific, but it had a certain respect and love versus just you're a bag of, you're a bunch of bones and I'm just going to smash and crack you.
Yep.
So I took that seminar and talk about a practice and a discipline to becoming a master in the art of the adjustment. And that's what he was all about. He wanted to make sure that people were putting out professional grade adjustments and had an incredible training program. And then a few years ago, he asked me, I've staffed his seminars over the years. He asked me if I would take over California.
Wow.
So I've been doing that for a couple years.
Meaning you're teaching?
I'm teaching his approach.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, it's a dream. It's to chiropractic, young chiropractic school students and chiropractors.
Wow.
So I do that up at Berkeley, Oakland area, and then
do you do it in a weekend seminar or do
weekend
you do it
seminar? Saturday and Sunday, and we have some like new exciting stuff that's gonna be different continents, which I don't know if I should say.
You just did
yet. Well, I said continent, but
it's somewhere else. And I'm assuming it's not Antarctica.
I would like to go to Antarctica, although it's heavily clouded in
for you there,
secrecy. Penguins, they may be huge, and I don't know. Penguins in Antarctica, or are they in the Arctic?
I think they're Antarctica.
They're Antarctica.
I think so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hey, gang, it's Andy, and I don't know if I say this often enough, but I'm in the podcast business because I want to bring stories that are inspiring and motivational to the world. And I am doing that. I'm doing that for all of you guys that are listening. But I want to be able to deliver it to a greater size audience. And the way this podcast grows, the only way it really grows, is by you guys being willing to send it out to other people. If you hear something in this episode that touches, moves, or inspires you, or you think would be useful for a handful of your friends, do me a favor and forward them a link to the podcast. If you're really inspired and you want to help the rest of the world know more about the podcast, go to iTunes and leave a review. The easiest way to do that is to use this link, bit.ly.com, bit.ly/Andy Petronic Podcast. That, once you get to iTunes, you have to navigate to ratings and reviews, and you can leave your review, and I would be super grateful and super appreciative. And the world, the people that find it because you did it, you're kind of paying it forward. You don't even know who they are. But as they find it, and as they love it, and as they love these stories, they will be eternally grateful. So thanks in advance, and let's get back to the show. So let me ask you another question. Do you get most of your clients the way you got me? like through a golden ticket, or like something's wrong with their spine, or
right. Golden tickets were special. I don't always do golden tickets.
Really?
Clark was a special dude, number one.
Cool.
And hey Clark, here's a golden ticket. And it was a total spin-off of Willy Wonka.
Yeah, right.
I loved it. And,
it's really cool.
And I like what it represents. For some people, it's a absolute game changer because they have no idea. And maybe they have something that's going on, or they're secretly hoping their problem's going to go away, and they've tried this drug and that drug, and they've tried massage, and they've tried physical therapy, and they've tried acupuncture, and it just did not work because there was a specific problem, aka the bone out of space, bone that's lost its normal motion, alignment, its position, its proprioceptive proprioceptive capacity. How about that? That sounds kind of cool. And
well, let me rephrase the question, because I don't think I'm quite getting the answer that I was hoping.
Shoot.
Do most people come to you because they have an issue with their back?
I hear what you're saying. Got you. Most people come to me with physical limitations.
Around their back, or around their, what's their context for coming to see you?
Gosh, so people again think that chiropractors are back doctors.
Yeah, right.
So
or neck.
I'm dealing with back and neck stuff primarily. Once in a while, we'll get people coming in with infertility, and now that chiropractic is starting to become well known again for the things that it used to care for, headaches, asthma. A lot of children with autism get incredible benefits with chiropractic because of the relationship between the spine and the nervous system, and an excited nervous system, a nervous system that's in more of a state of fight or flight, or a kid just can't concentrate. So the adjustments, boom, bring that kid into a state of balance, into a state of connection, into a state of ease. So we have, there's people who go to chiropractors because they got blood pressure issues, where they have a top bone, the atlas, that's, putting pressure on their vagus nerve, or putting pressure on their brain stem. You have it. So we already have the attention deficit disorders. Asthma was a slam dunk back in the old days. Like, people used to go to have asthma on steroids and go to the chiropractor, get adjustments, and their asthma's gone. Dr. Lindsay Matthews, she talks about that. The CEO, founder of BirthFit. She had asthma as a kid and got adjusted by a chiropractor, and her asthma was significantly eradicated. Sciatica, digestive issues. How about constipation? Now, people don't always come in like, hey, I'm constipated, can I get adjusted? But it's on like their top 3 concerns.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then when I go, okay, so if you had to choose between your radiating arm pain in your carpal tunnel, or what's going on with your neck, or constipation issues, which one do you want to get rid of the most? And they're like, I'd like to be able to crap again. I'm so backed up. And if you got a backed up colon, you got a backed up brain. They call the colon the second brain, the enteric nervous system.
Even the first brain.
True.
Perhaps.
True. Yeah. The way that it folds over, if you start looking at embryology, makes complete sense. The second brain. And that's what I like about, I know I'm just going to deviate from this conversation, where the yogis talk about different energy centers. They talk about 7 main energy centers. And when you start studying the energy centers, and you look at it more for, there are physical components, but the relationship between the mental and emotional states of a person, wow, there's some incredible stuff. So we have no problem saying the gut is either the first brain or the second brain. The brain is the brain. And then now with this new stuff that's coming out with regards to fascia.
What if the brain is just another organ? I mean, it's an interesting concept that I've been contemplating recently. Like, what if the brain is less in charge? I
don't think so. I think the brain is incredibly in charge. I think that we don't know how powerful the brain is, but ancient civilizations do. You even go into the Egyptian artwork and you start looking at the eye of Ra or the eye of Horus, which it's a side view of the brain, like the brain stem, the corpus callosum, the hypothalamus, the cerebellum. You're like, whoa, it's right there. You get into the pineal gland, the pituitary gland. They know that there are incredible structures up in the brain that are responsible for taking you to the next level.
Why would they know that?
I think how do they know it? That's gets into the mystery of life. Yeah. And as a student of, I was a biology major. I've always had this interesting fascination with metaphysics and anthropology too. So in my interest in bones and skeletons and stuff, I kind of went down the wormhole of Homo sapien, tracing to Homo erectus, and then Australopithecus. And then when you get down to like how did life begin on Earth, no one knows. However, you get into the Sumerians, who were around on planet Earth about 6,000 years ago, who have an incredible story of how life began on planet Earth, which involves, an alien, we'll just call them aliens, or gods from another planet, the Anunnaki from planet Nibiru. We don't have time for that conversation.
I think you just started 8 conversations that we don't have time for. So we might have to do a series.
We can do a series. Yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff. But they know that there was some type of cataclysmic event that happened to planet Earth around 11,860 years ago, 12,000 years ago, just to get you in the ballpark. The Great Flood, if you will, which wiped out all of mankind for the most part as we know it. And I think, personally...
That was around the same time that man developed the capacity to farm. Agriculture began.
Yeah, right? Agriculture, they say around 12,000 or 15,000. Who really knows? But I feel that the acupuncture and the Indian chakra system might be a holdover from before 12,000 years ago, where, again, think about how crazy acupuncture is. Talk about science fiction. I'm going to stick pins into your body to affect invisible meridians.
Right.
So there's a lot of mystery, and that's one of the things with acupuncture that excites me too, is that what the
yeah. Well, it's mysterious what you do when you tell me some of the things that chiropractors have been known to treat. Somebody with asthma, that it doesn't.
There are physiological and neurological explanations for why it works. It's not too hocus pocusy, and it's not too ethereal or abstract, or we don't have the mechanisms how this works. They know how it works. But now if they know how it works, why aren't they pushing that? Well, we know back in the 1980s, the medical profession had a committee designed to annihilate chiropractic, and they lost. And I want to say that they even appealed.
When you say
that
they
decision,
lost, it was some
they
sort
were
of
found
court?
guilty. They were found guilty.
Wow.
Of trying to destroy chiropractic. Wow. They had other committees too, but
fraud, slander,
slander, and within the profession, the medical profession, they were not allowed to refer to chiropractors. So chiropractors were always on the outside. Yeah. They were not in the club.
Yeah, right.
And I like that a little bit. I like the fact that they were, they were on the outsides. They had to fight for it. It was, I don't like it so much, but I'm glad I didn't have to go through that incredible persecution that they did. But there's still a ton of it going on. Every once in a while, you'll see magazines where they'll trickle in some scary stuff that chiropractors kill people or create or do this and that and this and that. And I think it's just fantastic use of propaganda.
It's going to change gears a little bit.
Yeah, let's switch gears.
I mean, I still want to talk about chiropractic.
Let's do it.
tell me about the most memorable experience of a client. Either like the time you were most nervous and you like couldn't get the adjustment to work the way you wanted to, or perhaps the most significant breakthrough. Like, what are some of the moments that stick out in your long history of doing this?
Yeah, I'm about to hit my 19th year, so I've had a smorgasbord of those type of experiences. The best type of best experiences that I've had to do with people, specifically women, who came in, and in the conversation, they were having difficulty conceiving. Yeah. And I had heard all of these, the stories, like maybe you would have heard, chiropractors can do this and that and this and that, and you just kind of like roll your eyes and like stick to the neck pain and the back pain. So I heard, by getting the nervous system free of interference, that miracles like infertile women can all of a sudden conceive. You had heard that. You hadn't been trained to do that, or well, there actually no, and there actually is a technique called the Webster's. It used to be called the Webster's breech technique. So women will come in with their kid in a breech presentation, or their baby in the fetus in a breech presentation, and through this technique, it would cause the baby to get into a more favorable downward-facing position. And basically, the technique, it's nothing spectacular. It's a spectacular technique, and I incorporate most of those elements in my adjustment, because the goal was to align the pelvis and the sacrum and the low back, and in doing so, it also took there was some ligamentous contact. So if a ligament is being stretched, it causes tension and muscular bracing and splinting and guarding. And if the body's in a state of brace, it's not in a state of like, hey, it's game time. It's like with kids probably going like, ooh, it just doesn't feel right to leave yet. Things aren't lined up properly. And in that same thread, a woman's pelvis may be so distorted, along with her sacrum and her lumbar spine, and the nerves are all, there's so much nociception, abnormal, toxic spinal stress signals going on there that it makes no sense as an ecosystem for a seed to want to grow in that environment. So as far as like that being a technique to help restore balance to a person's lumbosacral pelvis system with the nerves and the ligaments, specifically the broad ligament, which is an incredible ligament that encases the uterus, the ovaries, and the fallopian tubes. And we know that energy flows through the ligaments, and that's kind of like where they're starting to talk about where the meridians are. Look to the fascia for the meridians. So I hear these stories about people getting chiropractic and being able to conceive. One day I walk into the adjusting room. As you know, everyone's laying face down, just chilling out, getting ready for the adjustment. Well, she's sitting up on the table as I open the door, and her husband is sitting in the chair. He's normally not he gets adjusted too, but he's...
So this is a person you see on a regular basis?
Yeah, this is a person I was seeing. Okay. And this was maybe 4 years out in practice.
Okay.
Or so. So husband's in the room. I'm going, whoa, this is weird, because normally he'd be in the other room laying face down waiting for his adjustment.
They're ganging up on me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
what did I do now?
Yeah, did I do something?
Yeah, right.
I'm figuring, God, what happened? And then she's like, I am pregnant. And they're crying, we're hugging. And like, we didn't do anything except get the chiropractic. And we're talking, couldn't conceive for years, and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on the in vitro fertilization. Failed, didn't work.
Wow.
Bam. All right, so that was the first time. And then it happens the second time. And the second time, this woman actually couldn't conceive, and so she was adopting children. So she had already adopted 2 kids, and 3 months in or something like that, I walk into the room, she's sitting up on the table, and I already knew that she had fertility issues. And I look at her and I'm like, you're pregnant. And She's like, how did you know?
Seen this happen before.
I go, well, because the last time
you're not face down, and that must be the sign.
Yeah. So by the way, on 3 hands, I've had the same situation happen. Dr. Silver, my fiance, she's heard this, the story, the miraculous story. And it was just maybe a few months ago it was longer than a few months ago because the woman's almost, maybe one more trimester to go, where she was having difficulty getting pregnant. Dr. Silver, Kristen walks into the room, woman's sitting up, and she goes, "Hey, Mama, how you doing?" And she's like, "How did you know?" So
wow,
that's probably the coolest experience. In terms of,
has there ever been anybody you haven't ever been able to adjust? Like they're like too big or like it doesn't
too rock hard and they just won't give it up. Yeah, sure. And that's why there's different techniques there's the drop table, the Thompson technique, which is a fantastic technique to do it, or you have a handheld instrument.
Are those little clicker guns?
The clickers, yeah. Yeah.
You don't use that. Well, you never have with me. I don't know. Maybe
I do use it, and that comes down to like me not being so attached to the crack.
Yeah.
So the crack is not what it's about. The force going into the area where there's the disconnect, and putting a force into the body so that, again, based on, let's say, CrossFit's tenets of forcing adaptation, I'm putting a force into the body that body can use to convert that force into something, hopefully, that's good. So if I use a handheld instrument to do an adjustment, the adjustment needs to be fast. It just needs to be 0.2 milliseconds fast to create this neurological change and going from that fight or flight state, or where there's activated muscle, like a muscle that's being stretched, to just turn off that stretch reflex and relax that muscle. So it just needs to be 0.2 milliseconds fast. So I can just go click, click, and I'm putting a force into the area, and that's going to cause the nervous system to respond. Now, you can adjust the intensity of the force, the power, the depth, and hope maybe even make it faster to create a different response. So that's why I like to play around with the technique. Some of the time I'm going to go Muay Thai. Some of the time I'm going to go straight up boxing. Some of the time we're doing jiu-jitsu. Some of the time I've got the nunchucks, and some of the time it's I don't want to fight you. It's just not worth. I can't.
Aikido.
It's Aikido. Yeah. There's a lot of Aikido, and I've also learned over the years that I don't want to fight with people.
Yeah.
And I will just say, I don't think that this relationship is working, and that goes back to what we were talking about. They don't want to take responsibility. I had a person recently, she was doing a detox, a cleanse, and this person was we just weren't clear. She just didn't buy into the fact that the body is self-healing and that you have to feed it physically, chemically, mentally, emotionally, positively on a regular basis in order to get the change. I was just basically a repairman. Right. I'm not like you're not a blender where I just have to come in and replace the blade.
Right.
And that was kind of like her approach. But I was just so turned off that, did a detox, and she's like, I've got headaches and I'm feeling run down and I'm sniffly and this and that. So she ended up taking drugs to deal with the symptoms. I was like, you just missed the point. That's the point of
Right.
I know it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I've learned over the years to discern when things are not just they're not a good fit. And I like to play the game of being a teacher and a coach and a facilitator and an educator. That comes with the title, which I don't really want to have, but that's what I'm. Is it a chiropractor, or is it a teacher? Is it a guide?
Yeah.
Is it a coach? Is it a facilitator? And if I can't help a person, I'm going to let them know. But gosh, I've had so many different people, from athletes to newborns to just active lifestyle humans. But the people that get me the most excited are people like you, who want to use what I'm doing as a discipline to achieve a higher state of being.
One more question on this line, and then I want to completely change gears.
Cool.
But so somebody like you that doesn't have a chiropractic practice like what I was describing before, a couple of my friends that do electric stim and do all the physical therapy type things.
Right.
Can you still have an impact on athletic type injuries like tendonitis, Achilles tendonitis, or
what's causing it? You know what I'm saying?
Like for an athlete, they would say an acute. It's an acute thing for like running.
Are you just treating it with electrical stimulation or ultrasound, or are you going to take a step back, take the 10,000 foot, or let's go 14,000 foot top of Machu Picchu, staring down at the ankle, and then you can also do the Google Earth zoom in and see exactly what's going on there. So there are limitations to what I can do and what I can't do, but I don't like the let's treat your pain. I run from that model. I don't want to treat the problem. I want to get you out of pain as fast as humanly possible, because I hate pain. I don't want a philosopher adjusting me while my L5 is screaming at me, shooting thunderbolts down to my foot. But I want to have like a more of a holistic approach.
Yeah, right. So you have been able to treat things, whether they're little tendonitis issues or people come to you but they have to back off a little bit and take a wider, broader approach.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into semantics, and some people in my field, in my style of chiropractic, we don't even like to use the term treatment or treat. It's weird. Like, what? Why would I want to treat? Yeah, we don't treat symptoms. Right. We correct cause. We look at the cause. And like, if the cause is a disconnection between the brain and the body, we need to address that. And then secondarily, we go, what are the forces, the loads, the inputs, the signals and shapes that you're interacting with on a physical, chemical, mental, emotional level that are causing your body to become inflamed, causing your tendons where they're tugging on. Like, why would a tendon, like you say tendonitis, why would an attachment point become irritated? Well, obviously that muscle is, there's something going on. Maybe there's too much slack, or maybe there's too much contraction. And why is that? And we can approach that structurally. I normally go to the structural realm first, like, let's take a look, let's feel, let's touch. And then when somebody comes in, is like, there is no physical reason for this to happen, then the next question is, what's going on in your life?
Right.
And I just moved, I got evicted, or I broke up, or this happened, or I lost my job. And it's like, okay, cool. And when you hear kind of like the person who could not conceive, and then you adjust, and then you experience the power of like what an adjustment can do to a nervous system to bring forth life, then you start going, ooh, this mind body, the emotional body really does show up in the material, in the meat, in the tissues of the body. So I also enjoy going in that direction too, not going too heavy duty, but the body it's a body mind, one word, not hyphenated. Mind body, one word. Yeah, so the why, like, hey, can you just treat my ankle? Oh, it hurts here. Let's mess with your ankle. Why? And I like to ask a lot of whys. I'm Jewish, so why is it? Why is it? There's a lot of that.
Okay, so I want to change gears. I want to ask you about you. How do you make your life work today? Like, what are some of the things that give you the energy, the focus, the clarity? How do you keep it all together and straight and in your life? Like, what are some of your must-haves?
Got you. my life is very regimented, with a little bit of wiggle room. Let's start with how I prepare to go to sleep, and then I'll take you through that.
Great. I always think it's off to start with the first part of the day.
Yeah.
Because really how you wake up is solely dependent on how you go to bed.
Bingo.
And I mean, I'm suffering from that this morning because I've been binge watching this show called Fauda on Netflix.
Oh, I heard about that.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, they're on season 2 now, apparently.
Yes, they are. And I've just finished it last night, but I couldn't. I got 2 episodes in, and I thought, okay, I really need to go to bed. And it was the final episode.
Is it 30 minutes or is it an hour?
It's 45 minutes.
Oof, those are tough.
And yeah, so I stayed up till like 11:30, and that's just bad for me.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so
yeah, I did that with the new Karate Kid, Cobra Kai.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Fantastic!
It's a TV show.
Yeah, it's on actually YouTube Red.
Oh, really?
YouTube Red. Highly recommend it.
Oh,
it
wow.
takes off with Ralph Macchio and Johnny. I think his name is Johnny.
Yeah.
And
sweep the leg.
It's sweep the leg. It's
he grew up with that.
Spectacular. Yeah, spectacular.
That's great.
I didn't
cool.
think I was going to enjoy it as much, but I was under the covers, watching it a couple nights.
Yeah.
Violating what I'm about to say in terms of how I
your
do it
daily
for optimal,
essentials.
Yeah. So I try to stay away from those binge watching shows. All right. I like to eat at a relatively early hour in the evening. I actually don't like to eat late. In fact, back in the day when I used to do Ashtanga yoga with Chuck Miller, and I'm like 26 years old, just finished chiropractic school, come back to Los Angeles, and I was staying at my parents' house. And I actually used to get a little riled up if my mom cooked dinner a little bit too late. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be waking up at 5:30. I can't have food in my belly.
What time is a little too late? I mean, what time is that?
I think it was like 8 o'clock, a little bit late.
Yeah.
We had a good laugh about that for Mother's Day. She actually brought that up. That's why that was fresh.
That's funny.
She's like, I'm so sorry I wasn't cooking you meals earlier. I know. She's so sweet. Now I see what you were doing and what you were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
All right. So get the meal. I like to eat within like a 12-hour window. I think that there's plenty of research, and probably some of your guests have talked about that. I like to set all of the lights in the house on the red light setting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have the Philips Hue lighting system throughout the whole house.
Are those LEDs?
They're, are they LEDs? They could be LEDs.
Okay.
Yeah, they're LEDs.
But they change the temperature, right, of the light to bring it
you can change it to
get rid of all the blue.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully. But I also I do wear red glasses at night too.
So you do both?
I do a double dose.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it.
Does that start from sundown, or from like when do you start that?
I think that's like early evening is when the UV lights are going to be the strongest.
Yeah.
I like rocking blue blockers during the day too. I have a pair of blue blockers. Let's see. Try to get the blackout lights in the room, and
blackout curtains.
Blackout curtains.
Yep.
Excuse me. Wear an eye mask as well.
So I've been doing that too,
which always falls off in the middle of the night.
Yes, it ends up on top of my head right here.
Right,
and it sticks there. Well, I'm like, why can't it just stick here?
Yeah, you're a wiggly worm at night.
I must be. Yeah. In the morning, usually I wake up and I put it back on, and then I go to sleep for another hour.
There you go.
So it's good.
Perfect. I wake up in the morning with the Philips Hue lighting system is set up to wake up like sunlight.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and
no, wait. What time do you go to bed?
I try to get into bed by 10 o'clock, and I like reading in bed. Normally, I love reading, and yeah, unless I'm watching like Cobra Kai or binge watching underneath the covers. Yeah, I'm reading.
Nobody's gonna catch me.
Yeah, I'm reading with a pen, underlying stuff, and sometimes the pen's ends up all over me,
right?
Because I'll fall asleep with the cap. Wake up first thing in the morning. Water.
Wake up is what time?
Wake up is 5:45.
Okay.
Water, green powder, with the chlorella and the spirulina and the alfalfa and all those other kinds of, and I mix up the green juice depending on.
You just change it up.
I just change it up, yeah.
Yep.
With some lemon and some some Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and I pound that, and then I make myself like a super bulletproofy style coffee. I shouldn't say bulletproof, a buttery coffee, but with tons of mushrooms, whether it's the chaga, the reishi, the cordyceps, the lion's mane, the turkey tail.
Like Four Sigmatic?
Four Sigmatics. I use Four Sigmatics, and then I also switch out of Four Sigmatics. There's another one called Om mushrooms, but Four Sigmatics is by far my favorite. In that, there's ashwagandha, there's some cacao, I mean, there's butter, there's the MCT oil.
Do you put that right in the butter coffee with it?
Yeah,
as part of it. Oh, I've never tried that.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, by the time you drink it, the coffee's not
It's not really
scorching
coffee.
hot.
Well, it's also not really coffee anymore.
Yeah.
It's more like something else with a little bit of coffee added.
Right. You're using the caffeine as a carrier.
Yeah, right.
For everything else. And then right after that, I drink my coffee, go to the bathroom. I'll normally drink my coffee, make like an Instagram post at about 6 o'clock or so, and go to the bathroom, which is part of the ritual, and then hop on my yoga mat and I move for about an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the stuff that you do, I'm doing it. That you
do
in the office, I'm doing it, and I'm going from the head all the way down to the hands, and of course, being that I'm going to be doing specific movements like rounding forward and bending over, I'll focus on those areas, and then I also do speed drills to make sure that my reflexes are fast, because they got to be faster than 0.2 milliseconds quick.
Right.
Especially for somebody who's tight, who gives me a small window. Boom, and then I have to get in there quick.
Do you do the movements? So thinking about the exercises I do in the clinic, do you do, are they more of a yogic flow?
Yeah.
So you have a pattern that you follow?
I'll mix it up, but there's the general one where, okay, today I only have 15 minutes, and I'll do the sequence from the neck, from the jaw to the neck, out the shoulders, down the spine, into the pelvis and the hips, knees, ankles, and boom, and then I'm out the door. And
then other days, if you have an hour,
or more,
yeah,
or like, all right, I guess we're up today at 5:30, not 5:45. Hit it even earlier, and a lot of that came from my background in Ashtanga for years. Where waking up first thing in the morning and you're starting your day off with sun salutations. But for me, rather than starting the day with sun salutations, I enjoy doing all of my movement sequences first, so that when I do my sun salutations, I'm kind of like using the sun salutations as a prayer.
So does the sun salutations come in that practice when you have more than 15 minutes?
The sun, and there'll always be the sun salutations. But yeah, I like the sun salutations done at the end, which then kicks off the yoga practice.
Oh.
But even though there's a lot of yoga moves mixed into, but then it's like I'm doing more classical postures like triangle pose and the warrior pose and shoulder stand. And
not as part of your sun salutation, just as part of the yoga.
Carrying on from so it'd be dynamic movement practice, dynamic movement sequences, sun salutations, which would be the yoga practice. And then I've been meditating these days on the Sri Yantra, where I stare at this incredible, some people say it's a 15,000-year-old pattern, which is crazy if they say 15,000 years old, because now you're going...
Is that the pattern that's in the back of your office?
Back of the office, above the door, right. And the one that's on the door is called the Flower of Life. You can meditate, you can just stare at both of those guys and
Do you put
enjoy.
on headphones when you meditate, music, binaural beats? Do you, or do you just do it flat out?
So right now, when I'm staring, and the answer is it depends on what mood I'm in. Sometimes when I'm preparing for not sometimes, all the time when I'm preparing for my adjusting seminars, and I go through like a visualization process of mapping out 2 days worth of training, and I'll listen to the binaural beats and put it on either like a gamma wave frequency or a different type of theta wave. I also use binaural beats to go to sleep. I have this headband with headphones, so I can plug it into my iPhone and listen to delta wave music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's that called?
That one would be, it's on my Sonos playlist. But there's one called...
No, is the headband an app or is it a product?
No, it's a product. It's nothing spectacular. It's probably like $20, and they have new stuff coming out. Like it's a headset called Cocoon. Yeah, I'm trying to find one where when you roll on your side, the earbud doesn't crush your ear.
Yeah, right.
So I haven't really found one that I'm super wild on. And if you find one,
I'll let you know.
Let me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, gosh, we still haven't even left the house. Staring. Yeah.
How long do you meditate?
Depends. So I'll either do a meditation, an actual closed eyes meditation, which starts off with more of a breathing concentration, ultimately into a meditation, 15, 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so
usually...
it's like an hour and a half practice you got going on here, right?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
And some days it's the hour and a half, and some days it's only an hour, and some days it's 45 minutes, and some days I get into a book, and then I'm just like, oh, dang, it's so good, I don't want, and then it's the 5-minute lube of the body, and then, but yes, so I'm staring at the Sri Yantra for 15 minutes, doing like the Sri Yantra meditation, soaking in that geometrical configuration straight into my brain and wherever it decides to, I guess, process and digest it. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I head to the office, and I get to the office at 8 o'clock and warm up on the office with some cervical traction. We have that craniosacral wobble chair to get my body going that way, and take care of like whatever little business that needs to be done. Normally, before I even leave the office, I take care of all my business so that when I get to the office, it's game time.
Yep.
And so lunchtime, depending on the day, I'll go to Deuce Gym in Venice, train with, doing like privates these days with Juan.
Cool.
He's got a great athletic mindset, and he's done a great job of kind of like customizing the workout. You know, if he works with athletes, I'm a chiropractic athlete, so he's doing stuff for that. Tuesdays, I'm doing podcasts.
Every Tuesday at
1:30.
Right.
I like slacklining, so that might be a beach day, going to the beach and slacklining.
Do you set up on those poles that are built for it down in Venice?
I don't. That's down in Santa Monica.
Yeah, right.
I used to go there years ago. I used to go there.
They didn't have those years ago.
No.
Back when I was, I used to run a beach class on the square patch of grass.
Right.
And those things did not exist. They were. It was just the rings, the traveling rings.
I don't like it. There's too much noise. There's too much stimulation.
Totally.
And I got hurt. Like the first time I ever had a situation where I woke up in the morning and I couldn't like get out of bed.
Wow.
Which was
from slacklining.
Yeah, well, it's like a 4-foot line. Nothing crazy, but
that's short. 4 foot high.
4 foot high.
Not 4 foot long. I'm like, that doesn't even sound like slacklining.
No. it was high, and I was like getting good at it, and it had.
Are you good?
I don't jump on them.
You don't jump.
I mean, I'm in my 40s. No need to.
That doesn't stop me.
Doing flips.
I don't. No. I didn't mean to imply that I do that, but it wouldn't. If I was at that level, I think I probably would do that.
Right.
If I was.
And
there.
let me just not say, because I'm in my 40s, if I wasn't a chiropractor and didn't have to have a body be functioning 100%,
deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah, and I play the game. I do everything. I live my life so that I can serve well and feel great and be connected, so that when I put my hands on somebody, I'm connected and I'm not kind of thinking about myself, because what I do is not a mechanical procedure. Mm-hmm. Right, so slacklining. So I ate it bad on that 4 foot high line in Old Muscle Beach. But yeah, just too much crazy stuff going on. I take it by Venice Pier.
When you ate it, did you fall on your back?
I fell kind of like in a plow position. So I missed the line because the line was getting a little bit wobbly close to the end, and it was where 3 different lines were converging on a post. So I'm seeing a person out of my left eye, person out of my right eye, and I just lost my awareness. So missed the rope with a foot. Don't know if it was the right foot or left, but kind of like flipped and landed on my my back, but my legs had flipped over my head, kind of like in a plow pose.
Yeah, right.
I kind of stayed around. I kind of like dusted it off.
That's an adjustment.
Yeah, I was like, that was the worst adjustment I've ever had in my life.
Right.
But even playing rugby and boxing and having experienced those type of physical type of injuries, this one felt different. And I ran home from Santa Monica Pier to Abbot Kinney, where I was living, and that probably wasn't the smartest move. And then the next day,
did you have your slackline in a backpack or something?
Yeah, actually that day probably didn't even bring my
because
my line.
People just set them up and you could just go and hop on.
Yeah, and I'm particular. I don't like the thin ones. I like a nice, the gibbon,
wide,
the red one.
Yep, that's mine too.
Yeah, I like just the way that fits on my foot. So I go to a different place. I might even go to a park like Penmar Park.
Oh, cool.
And I like it quiet. I use the slackline for meditation.
Oh, cool.
And talk about putting on binaural beats. I play classical. I listen to classical music.
You put on headphones and...
Oh, yeah.
I never thought of that.
Love it.
What a cool thing.
Yeah. There's a cool part where you put on your headphones, you're listening to classical music or whatever type of music you want to listen to. And then there's let's take it off and let's hear the birds and just be completely connected to the environment. So that for me is one of the coolest activities that I do.
Do you do things on the slackline that cause you to want to get better? Like, do you play I find myself playing little games with myself. So yesterday on my unicycle, I was out tooling around the neighborhood. I only had like 10 minutes. And I thought, okay, one of the games I've been playing is I've been practicing getting up what's called free mounting, which means mounting the unicycle without holding on to anything. I found that to be as difficult or more.
I saw your outtakes.
Than just learning how to get on the unicycle. It's been really a long process. My game that I've been playing there are two games. One game is you get one chance every day for your first attempt. Can you make it up on your first attempt? Yesterday I made it up on my first attempt.
Right on.
And when I say make it up, it means I'm actually up and stable enough to ride forward. Like it's not just up.
Yeah.
And then I was riding around the street and I thought, okay, well, what game can I play now? And I thought, God, you know what a fun game would be? What if I could go up one driveway and down the next, and up the next one and then down the next, and then up and down and zigzag up and down the sidewalk, and because it gives you that unstable environment and gives my brain something to do other than just ride around. And God, so my next goal was going to be on my street, going up one side that way, turning around and coming down the other side the other way. That's my next thing that I'm going to work on. But do you do anything like that on the slackline?
I call it Apocalypto. You saw the movie?
Yes.
Apocalypto.
I love that movie. We just were down in Belize and went to the Mayan ruins.
Incredible.
And I told Dashel, in fact, I was telling one of the tour guides about the movie Apocalypto and how much I relate to it more now that I've been there. Right. And I'd love to show Dash, but that's a little bit beyond what I'm willing to show an 11-year-old.
It's a rough movie for an 11-year-old. It's a rough movie for anybody.
Yeah, right. But you were saying you call it your
Apocalypto thing. It's based on like the final scene in Apocalypto where he's being chased. Yep. I mean, it's not the final scene, but it's like the last half hour.
Right. It's a long
chase through the jungle where he's spears being thrown at him and jaguars are trying to eat him. And so I when I get on the line, I make the stakes great. If you fall off the line, you die. Your wife and your kid, they don't make it out of the pit. And if you haven't seen Apocalypto, sorry about that. But it's a great movie. Yeah. And look, it's been years. In case I just ruined the ending, it's not like it's Han Solo.
There's a time
frame.
I was going to say like a statute of limitations with spoilers. Like if you haven't, I get it. A movie came out last week and you talk about the ending. Okay, no good.
Jerk.
But Apocalypto has been like 20 years.
15,
a long time.
Fair enough. It was back when Mel Gibson was like allowed in Hollywood.
You liked him.
Yeah.
He was actually Braveheart and
blew it. He blew it. Yeah. I'd like to talk about Mel Gibson right now.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So it kind of gets me a little bit primal. And, what if I'm being chased? Yeah. So I play that game. As far as other little games, just trying to make my spin turns more fluid,
like 360 or 180.
Yeah, the one
You're way more advanced than I am. I usually can't make it down one pass without coming off.
Right. My world record is 6 times back and forth without falling off. On
what length of a slackline?
Is the 45 footer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you. And so I can walk forward. I can walk backwards. I think my next game is to kind of like do little pirouettes, pirouette.
Can you do that now? Like if you're in the middle of the line, can you do a 180 and turn around?
But I haven't mastered that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would be...
I love playing those little games. Like I think that probably is left over from my endurance life, where if I didn't play little games in my head, I would go absolutely bonkers, stir crazy.
Right.
You know, you're on a bike for 4 hours, and what do? You play little...
Otherwise, it's just, you're playing
little games.
And the cool thing is there's a lot of benefit with not going to apocalypto mode and just playing... just being free, and then it's like, all right, now how can I make this a serious game and maybe enhance my skill too? So
I was waiting for you to say you punish yourself by falling off with like 100 burpees per fall off. Like that would be apocalypto.
Yeah.
Or Murph. You got every time you fall off, you have to do another Murph.
Right. You know, the funny thing is I don't do CrossFit regularly. I did it in the beginning when I first started Deuce. Like I just showed up one day and I was like, "Hi, I'm here."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, cool." And I gave it a go. And then in terms of being able to sense the tension, I love what it did. I mean, you feel strong as strong AF.
Yeah.
I also felt that the recovery for me, like if you lift heavy stuff, don't complain that you're sore.
Right.
Yeah. Like it comes with
territory.
It.
Yeah.
You don't want to feel sore. Go jump in a pool and hold onto a kickboard and kick. Maybe you'll feel sore.
Typically, I didn't used to get sore from doing long endurance stuff. My back would hurt because I've been in the same position for 4 hours or 5 hours, but not the same kind of soreness as like high intensity functional exercise.
So I love CrossFit. I've read the manual. I subscribe to the journal. I love everything that
the philosophy.
I love it. Love
what
it.
is
Love
fitness?
it,
that
it,
article is amazing.
Love it.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like for what I need to do, it just doesn't work. Like if I'm a person who puts his hands on people, I don't want to have torn up hands, bloody callous. Messes.
Totally. Yeah. Totally.
You do a big event, you can't bend over. So it's like, okay, now I'm limiting how I can serve people. So that's number one. Yeah. But I do a lot of yoga. I might do a couple of different yoga classes during the week, but for the most part, my practice takes care of me from the yogic standpoint.
Do you ever do Kundalini yoga? Has that been part of your...
Not regularly, but yes. And for me, Kundalini is one of the advanced practices. Like you have to be strong to do Kundalini.
I don't know much about it. Like I just had Ronnie Teasdale on the podcast, who's just finishing his Kundalini teacher training, and I've had 2 people reference it, and so now I feel like it's on my radar. I need to go experience.
We have one incredible spot called Yoga West, and I don't know if that's where he
goes. That's where he goes. But there's another one called Rama.
Yeah, right on Lincoln.
And right next to Clutch, almost next to
Bingo. Yeah, right there,
next to Deuce.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have options,
right?
And if you want to get the energy or the prana and the Kundalini moving through your body, these are time-tested practices to do that. And
thousands of years,
If you're an explorer, which you are, and if you're into CrossFit, which is, although the Kundalini exercises may not necessarily be functional, but they're playing in the energy systems.
Yeah.
But now you're dealing with a different energy system.
Totally.
You're playing in the pranic or Kundalini energy system. And I'd like to see more people go in that direction, as well as the energy systems found in CrossFit.
It seems like you're dealing with energy systems that are controlled by parts of your body that are less obvious with Kundalini. Like less, like CrossFit's, I would say, is quite obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to get better at squatting, you do squats.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get better at lifting things over your head, you do some version of an overhead press or
Mm-hmm.
a thruster or a jerk. Kundalini, it's not so. It doesn't seem to me, because I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not necessarily exactly what meets the eye. Like, you don't know why you're necessarily doing something, and yet it's controlling things you don't even know exist as control mechanisms in your body.
If you read like the book and you understand what the Kriya or the exercise is that you're doing, this exercise is designed to target or strengthen this part of the body and purify this and that, or activate the energy in this part of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So they're designed to ultimately get your body as strong as possible.
But
to
it's not
be
so
able to
odd.
harness.
It's not so, like, if you want to strengthen your bicep,
Mm-hmm.
you do bicep curls.
Right.
But for me, Kundalini that wouldn't be intuitive.
What do you think Kundalini exercises look like?
I don't even know. I don't even know. Like,
It's
I don't.
physical.
But for me, it's exercising things that I don't even know that I could possibly influence through an exercise.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
with a bicep, I know if I want to get that stronger, this is what I do. But
I hear you.
what I'm saying,
You're strengthening different pathways within the body that maybe you didn't even know existed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And ways, like, even if I did know it existed, would I think that there's an exercise that could actually do that? What would that? I wouldn't have any idea.
Right. Well, most
Like,
people aren't thinking
it's
about
cool.
how do I activate my Manipura chakra? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Or
right. You know,
they're like,
now
what?
you're talking.
Or how do I get my heart center open or clear out the rubbish in the zone? So a lot of this stuff, the exercises too, are designed to remove the interference and the blockages in these certain areas, so you can become like an incredible conduit. But there'll be an exercise where there's a breath with the movement, and you're doing this movement, repeating it, or maybe even just holding your arm up like this for God knows how long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I don't know, maybe even 30 minutes, and doing a specific breathing like a Kapalabhati or a
I'm
Bhastrika.
so looking forward to
like,
doing
or and your arm's just exploding, and
Wow.
you're freaking out after 1 minute, and you know there's 5 minutes to go.
Right.
Yeah, you should.
Kind of
you
like the
should
way
go.
when I used to go to Brian Cass in the very beginning, he would hold us in a you'd come down. He used to love to put you into so you're in, I don't even know all the words. You're up dog,
Cobra pose, maybe.
you've gone to down dog, and
Down
then
dog.
you bring one leg forward.
One leg forward.
As
Yep.
if you're going to come up into Warrior One. But before you come up into Warrior One, sweep your arms back like airplane wings.
Gotcha.
And let's just breathe here.
Right.
You're down, like hanging out in the bottom of a lunge.
Right.
Just breathe. And, he didn't tell you how long you were going to be there.
Yeah.
And typically it was a long freaking time.
Right. And with that style of breathing, it would be more Ujjayi breathing, like control your breath, inhale, exhale. With Kundalini, it's more forceful from like the lower part of your spine. There might be other ones where it's like more throat, like, but you're breathing forcefully, controllably through different areas of your body.
So we're through your afternoon, kind of. We got to slacklining and your workout.
Yoga.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's typical day. Tuesdays and Fridays I finish at noon, and I'm done.
Oh, cool.
And but Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday they all kind of look the same. After, let's say in the evening, I may do an evening yoga class. These days I've been enjoying going to a hot yoga class.
Mm-hmm.
The sequence is nothing spectacular in terms of difficulty. It's very, very doable. The heat just kind of makes you go a little bit deeper, and it's a slower style class. So it's not it's not a set sequence, at least the classes that I'm going to. I like Bikram too. Bikram kind of gets a little bit boring for me these days, just with the repetitiveness of the same class. Then I put it into chill mode. And once I get home, have dinner, I have a zero gravity recliner that I like to lay back in, legs up. I got the book, or a inversion table in the backyard.
Is that what a zero gravity recliner
Zero gravity recliner is made by a company called Perfect Chair.
Oh.
And it reclines backwards. Well, I guess I didn't need to say backwards.
That's right.
It reclines, and your feet are elevated above your heart, and your head is below your legs. So it has this very restorative feel, sticking a lumbar support.
Uh-huh. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
The health bridge?
Yeah.
Is it called a health bridge? Health bridges?
Health bridges, yeah.
Health bridges. Is there a amount? It's, by the way, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's a wooden
backbender.
Yeah, it's a wooden thing. It's literally looks like the arch of your lumbar spine that you lay on. And I lay on it typically in the office for about 20 breaths. If I got one of those at my house, is there too
15
much?
15 minutes, 30 minutes.
So too much is not really I guess it could
You'll
be.
know. Yeah. You'll know if it's too much. I have fallen asleep before on that on my lunch break. I think one time for like an hour, and I got up and my legs were numb, and
it doesn't
hurt.
It
took some time to untangle.
But it could be actually valuable to be in that position. Like, it's not a bad thing to be
with
in.
How many hours are people sitting in a crappy sitting position,
like I am right now,
like in a nice embryonic.
Yeah, I love this position.
Embryo.
I realize as I become more aware of my thoracic spine, this is what puts me in my this is what I have to do. I'll sit on my couch and I'll be watching TV and I'll have to pull my chest up and
That's why I like the zero gravity recliner, because as I'm chilling out, it's already put me into into a proper mold. I got a 120 degree angle between my thighs and my abdominal area. I've got a lumbar support. I actually have a special cervical device that I put in to support my neck curve, so I'm getting traction while I'm laying on my recliner. So it's a win-win.
That's cool. Now, do you follow a similar routine? I know it's probably not the same because you're not working, but on the weekends?
Saturday. Oh yeah, by the way, Fridays and sometimes on Tuesdays, but every Friday I go hiking.
Cool.
And been doing that a little bit more regularly because it's so important to get dipped in nature. We try, my fiance and I would go out to Temescal and try to get a good 90 minutes of baking, cooking, disc defragmentating,
connecting with
the eye of Ra, and rattlesnakes. Just making sure there's no rattlesnakes. More important. I'm not thinking about.
I just
Ra.
read a scary story in Outside Magazine about a guy who got bit by a rattlesnake.
Oh no!
In Colorado, and it's just this horrific, the worst case scenario of like everything that could go wrong. And he ended up being okay, but man, it's a story. Holy cow! I didn't really realize the magnitude of what could happen. And by the way, it's a myth that a baby rattlesnake injects more venom than an adult. That's a complete myth. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. I see
a snake, I'm freaking. I'm not going towards it to see
no Indiana Jones jumping into the pit with the snakes.
Pass.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I'm running. I kind of trip out. Oh, what was that? Oh, it's a squirrel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm the most relaxed person when I'm hiking, because if I hear something in the bushes, I'm thinking it's a snake.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking it's a squirrel.
Right.
Or a rabbit or whatever. Bluebird. Saturday morning.
Yeah, just general snakes. Weekends. Like, are you...
Coach's prep. I do coach's prep on Saturday at Deuce Gym. I'm not looking to be a coach, but actually I am a coach. I appreciate what they're doing, especially Logan's work, who is your...
he was my mentee.
I was going to say your student, apprentice.
Yeah,
good job.
He was an intern and then an apprentice, and then he went out and was changing the world.
So I like studying with him. I like stretching. It's a field that's not my specialty. So I'm a beginner, and when I look around, I'm like, dang, with this crew, I'm not the number one, and I'm not even like in the top 5. So I feel it's kind of humbling in the sense, but I'm trying to force adaptation
Yeah, cool.
on my brain. So that's just for me being a student and learning. And then Saturday is just chill, beach, read, whatever, socialize, dinner, hang out. Repeat that on Sunday.
Cool. Love it.
8 a.m. Sunday morning, Brian Kess when he's in town.
Yeah, super good. I miss that. I miss having a regular yoga area. I get pulled in many directions, especially with a kid and coaching baseball and stuff. So I have to remind myself that I get tremendous joy from that, and so the trade-off for me is worth it
for sure.
But I definitely miss having a regular practice like that.
Catching 70-mile-per-hour fastballs.
That's almost over for me. Like, that's just not going to keep going, because pony baseball ends when they're 12, at the end of their year 12. Right. Dashiell just made the team that's going to go to Cooperstown next year.
Oh, wow.
For it's a massive, it's the home of the World Series, it's the home of the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Baseball Hall of Fame. And they have this massive tournament that is you don't have to qualify to go to the tournament, but every summer, every weekend of the summer, teams from around the world come to Cooperstown to participate in this tournament. And our league has a team that they try to send every year. They have a spot.
What league is it?
Cheviot Hills Pony Baseball Association, CHPBA. And they always put together the best group, like I would say all-star group, given the age range, and send them. And we just found out that Dashiell made that team. They selected a year in advance, so the team then has time to practice together over the course of that time.
What position does he play?
He plays catcher, shortstop, center field. Less catcher when he's with around all-stars because he's so good at the other stuff. Usually catcher comes more into play when we're in regular season and he's playing with kids that don't have the as high ability, and he's one of the better kids on the team. And he pitches too. So yeah, just
does it all.
You can put him anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't want to put him at first because he's such a small target. He's throwing it over his head is pretty easy. So I put the kids that look like they're 17 at first base.
There's a perfect position for everybody.
Absolutely.
Just like rugby.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah,
don't want to get smashed.
Don't put your little guys at prop or second row or,
Well,
hooker's fine.
Big little guys in hooker at prop. But yeah, I like scrum half. Get in, boom. Get in, get out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Or being if you're fast enough, being a back.
Correct.
Yeah. I played rugby.
There you go.
I was not great at it, but I played. Listen, guys, thank you. Holy cow, we've been going now for
6 hours,
quite some time. And but who's counting? I'm actually, what's funny is I told my son that we were recording this podcast today and that I might be late for carpool, thinking that I won't be late. We'll get it done. And
we missed it.
Yep, we missed it.
He's on the unicycle.
He's it's not a big deal because they have an after school program and he'll just flow into that, and I'm not worried about him, but that hasn't happened before. So this has been really, really cool. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate what you do and the level to which you take care of yourself to make yourself of service to the people you treat. It's very apparent.
Thank you.
In my experience of you as my doctor.
I'm here to serve you. I train to serve you.
That's cool.
I got to train hard to serve Andy Petronic.
I don't know. When I first came in, it probably didn't take a whole lot. Just you could have touched me in any way, and I would have gotten better because I was pretty bad to begin with. But thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Andy, and thanks so much for listening. If you want to know more about what I'm learning each month, head over to andypetronic.com and subscribe to my monthly newsletter. If you were touched, moved, or inspired by anything you heard today, chances are someone else you know would be too. Please take a moment to think about who and send them a link to this episode. And if you're super stoked, please head over to iTunes to write a review. The best way to keep current on guests and episodes is to subscribe so that the latest one will automatically get delivered straight to your phone. The apps I use for this are Apple Podcasts, Overcast, or Pocket Casts. The Andy Petronic podcast is produced by our team, Winslow Jenkins, Becca Borowski, and Ernie Hurtado. Big thanks to Nikki Grudidaria for the artwork. You can find all of our episodes, links, and complete show notes at wholelifechallenge.com/podcast. I'm Andy Petronic. Thanks for listening.